Hello and welcome to Penelope's Chinwag. That's what it is, it's a chat about my week, about my crafting, about my family, about anything I want to talk about really. I love to chat and if you'd like to join me for a half-hour sit down, then please do. You're more than welcome. So, Bank Holiday Monday today, and boy oh boy, boiling hot. I mean, got in the car and it was 30 degrees. Got out of the car and we did our there and back walk. The little film at the end will be, Bank Holiday Monday down by the beach on an English beach. So that makes me laugh because it's like nothing else. And we have, in the southeast here, we haven't had any rain. No rain at night, no rain during the day. I had a little message from a friend on Dartmoor and they've said it's been raining, and I think it was at night, and it's really been welcome, but we haven't had a jot for a long time. But it'll come. It always does. Pete said, what goes around comes around and all of that. So what did I want to talk about today? Well, I was thinking about the brain and about curiosity. It's so good for us. And I was looking up some fascinating facts about the octopus. And octopus are so curious. If you put an octopus in a tank, it will rearrange it. And that made me think of my mum. We used to go off to school, come back, we'd never know how the room was going to be, because my mum, although we had a very small front room, in our next house it was a bit bigger, but still it was always rearranged. The furniture, everything was rearranged. It just, I don't know, Mum just loved it. When I was reading her diaries, Mum changed around, rearranged, did this. And that's what the octopus does. He's curious. If you give him a jar of something, he'll open the jar. He wants to see. If you put pebbles or shells in his, area, he'll play with them. He'll turn them up. He wants to see what will happen. And as I say, he rearranges things. He likes to, feel comfortable. And the other thing is, reading my book, The Brain at Rest. Oh, it's such a good book. I'm loving it. The power of sleep and its brain-enhancing properties aren't limited to the night. It's really been saying how important it is to get a good night's sleep, how important it is to leave that phone, the whatever device you've got, leave it outside. Don't take it to bed with you. Don't look at it just before you go to sleep. And upon waking the following day, resist the impulse to immediately spring from your bed and dive headfirst into the humdrum of your daily routine. Give yourself a tranquil period of 10 to 20 minutes, not on your phone, but completely void of activities. And I've been doing that. I make myself a cup of tea, I sit in the conservatory, and I look at the garden, I look at the rose that's just outside the window. I just think about my day, what I'd like to achieve, but in a gentle way. I suppose it's a bit curious as well. What am I going to be doing today? It's just about waking the brain up gently. So I've been practicing that. And also something I never do, and that is nap during the day. I can't do it. If I go to bed and sleep, I wake up, I feel so dreadful. I feel dreadful. But it says here, the power of sleep and its brain-enhancing properties aren't limited to the night. In the summer of 2023, Dr. Victoria Garfield at the University College London found that people who take daytime naps literally have bigger brains than those who power through the day. And incredibly, this can slow down aging by up to 6 years. That's something Pete has always done. He's 80 now. He retired when he was 60. And I can tell you, every single one of those 20-year days, he's had a nap or two. And he can just nap on a sixpence. I mean, it could be mid-sentence and you think, oh, he's gone. So I'm going to try it. Even if I don't sleep, I'm going to lay down and I'm going to rest for half an hour. I'll let you know if I feel a bit more relaxed or if it's benefited me. Because I get up early, but I like to go to bed early. And therefore, I always feel if I have an afternoon nap, I won't sleep. I'll go to bed later. Anyway, that's for me to work out. Curious fact? Shall we ask the octopus? I'm going to leave it there because I've waffled on enough. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Well, hello, it's Tuesday. Just like that for you. But for me, yes, it's been a good night. I slept well. And I thought today I'd come on. Pete's cooking lunch and I'm hoping to get this done before he calls out, Pen, it's ready. Chapter 3 of Pete's story. I thought I'd read you that and we'll get on with it. 119 Bowes Road. 119 Bowes Road. Semi-detached, 3 stories high, proper solid brick. You felt it when you walked in, not just the size of the place, but the feeling. It was homely. I grew up at number 30 just down the road until I was about 5. But 119, that was the heart of it all. The door was always open. It was the kind of house where someone would hand you a cup of tea before you'd even taken your coat off. Even years later, I'd walk past and feel something shift, like the house knew me. The big windows, the front steps, the smell of polish and roast dinners and something baking in the oven. The huge magnolia tree in the front garden. Still there now, bearing beautiful flowers. You can tell a lot about a family by the way a house feels. And 119, well, it felt like home even if you didn't live there. Mum, Grace, had a rough start, though she didn't talk about it much. Born in 1908, she was one of a big family who in 1911 were crammed into 2 rooms in Clerkenwell. There was Ada, William, Amy, Florence, Rosetta, little baby Cecil, though he made everyone call him Cyril. Then came Charles in 1913, but just as the First World War started, he died. And William? He was killed in France, aged just 24, 6 days before the war ended. 6 days. Mum's dad was a carman, horse and cart, out in all weathers, doing deliveries. Before he was married, he moved from Chester to London and became a Grenadier Guard, the men who wear the black bearskin hats with white plumes, the King's Guard. And then a carman. He caught pneumonia and died in 1917. 10 days later, her mum, Ada Mole, gave birth to Ivy. Can you imagine that? Giving birth so soon after losing your husband. And then, 5 years after that, she died too. Mum was just 14. So many losses. A baby brother in 1914, her dad in 1917, her brother in 1918, and her mum in 1922. And on top of that, World War I to contend with. I never thought of it in these terms until I started writing this. That's when Ada stepped in, Auntie Ada. Aged 27, a year later she was married to Alf in 1923. She became the centre of the family for the young ones, the organiser, the listener, the one who just got on with it. That's why 119 mattered so much. The 1939 census shows them living there with Auntie Rose and Alf's father. 3 years after I was born, they celebrated their silver wedding, and I look back and realise Auntie Ada and Uncle Alf to me were more like the Nan and Grandad I never knew. I lived there for a time when I was engaged to Penny. I'd left the army and Mum and Dad had moved to Devon. Auntie Ada loved it and we became even closer. On my wedding day, I got ready at 119 to go up Powys Lane to the church opposite the cherry tree at Southgate. Let me paint the picture of the room. The dining sitting room, not the large front room, that was saved for parties and get-togethers, of which there were many. Uncle Alf in his armchair by the fire, which he kept stoked, a warm room. Auntie Ada and Auntie Rose sitting at the dining table, painting soldiers. They were painted by the gross, and what they looked like defies belief, although Uncle Alf did do the fiddly bits. We'll leave it to your imagination. Also a couple of canaries singing away, and Laura the parrot, who was elderly, with not many feathers, and of course Patsy the dog, who always tried to hog the fire, but one shout from Uncle Alf and she'd move back. Nobody knew the age of the parrot, not even my cousin Alan, who brought her back from Australia before I was born. Alan, Ada's son, was 18 years older than I was, making him more like an uncle than a cousin. He was a sea captain, or master, as they called them in the Merchant Navy. Mum said he was one of the youngest to reach that rank. The family were very proud. The parrot's name was Laura. Was she male or female? We don't know, but one thing's for sure, she couldn't be trusted. The only person who could get anywhere near her without fear was Uncle Alf. He was a cobbler by trade, working from a little shop behind Turnpike Lane tube station in North London. His hands were as tough as the leather he used, parrot-proof you could say. Laura soon discovered that a peck on those hands wasn't followed by the usual rapid withdrawal from the cage, accompanied by howls of pain. Instead, she received a swift clout on the beak from Uncle Alf. Her cage stood by the window in the dining room, overlooking the garden, just behind the dining table. When it was mealtime, Laura would cling to the bars of her cage, gradually sliding down. On reaching the bottom, she'd climb back up to the top and slide down again. This was accompanied by loud squawks, whistles and shrieks, and would go on until Uncle Alf gave her some food. One of her favourite treats was a lamb or pork chop bone. She'd take it from his hand, return to her perch, and on transferring it to her claw, stand on one leg and strip every last bit of meat from it. Laura loved matches. Alan thought it was the sulphur in the match that was the main attraction, but whether that was true only Laura could say. Her only vocabulary was, "Hello, Laura," followed by various squawks and usually a loud wolf whistle taught to her by Uncle Cyril, Auntie Ada's younger brother. It was Laura's love of matches that started the war between her and Uncle Cyril. A war that lasted as long as she lived. Not a war in which either of them was hurt, more a war of wills. It happened when he gave her a match. Not the usual safety match, but a Swan Vesta red-headed match. Laura, not knowing the difference, took it in her claw, surveyed it, and bit into the head. The inevitable happened. The match burst into flames, singeing Laura's feathers. That didn't go down well with Auntie Ada or Laura, who both started shrieking at Uncle Cyril. Uncle Cyril was in hysterics, tears rolling down his face. The more Auntie Ada had a go at him, the more he laughed. It took a long time for Auntie Ada to forgive him, but Laura never did. Another traumatic episode in Laura's long life was when Mr. Know-It-all came to visit. He was the husband of one of Auntie Ada's friends. I never did know his real name. Of course, he was an expert on parrots, and Aunt Ada needn't worry about him opening the cage to stroke Laura's head. This was probably true. In fact, I'd often seen Uncle Alf do just that. The only thing was, Mr. Know-it-all wasn't Uncle Alf. Everything started off well. The cage was opened, in went the hand, Laura put her head down as if to allow herself to be stroked. And then it happened. As quick as a flash, Laura's head came up. She eyed the finger coming towards her and sank her beak into it. A loud cry and a rapid withdrawal from the cage, except this time Laura made 2 mistakes. First, she didn't let go and came out of the cage with the hand. Second, she let go when the arm that belonged to the hand was fully extended. The hand stopped, but Laura didn't, and she went flying through the air until she ran out of room, quite literally. She hit the wall of the dining room and slid down to the floor. Mr. Know-it-all stood nursing his finger, which was dripping blood all over the floor, whilst listening to Auntie Ada calling him all the names under the sun as she rushed to Laura's aid. Laura, still in shock, allowed herself to be picked up and placed back in the cage. It didn't take long before Laura was back to her normal self. One good thing came from that event. 119 Bowes Road never saw Mr. Know-it-all again. Oh, it's a lovely story, isn't it? I know I've read about the parrot a long time ago when I first started Chinwag, but Pete's now incorporating it into his book, his storybook. So that's chapter 3, 119 Bowes Road. I hope you enjoyed it. And I think lunch is ready now, so I'll see you in the morning. Bye-bye. Morning. It's Wednesday. Oh my, I've made a decision, so that's good. I did that today. What else? I've been thinking about curiosity, and after I've spoken to you, I'm going to have an afternoon 20 minutes. I think that's what I've decided. So let's see how that goes, shall we? I'll let you know. That's the thing about doing it each day, isn't it? I can let you know how things progress during the week. If you're interested, if you're curious. I was thinking, you know, if you do a journal, people have asked me, oh, could you help me do a journal? I don't keep a journal. Well, I suppose I've got Chinwag, haven't I? And it's almost like a journal when you do this sort of thing yourself. But I was thinking, for a journal, wrote down a couple of questions. What would I try if I wasn't worried about getting it wrong? I think sometimes we feel that, don't we? Oh, I would never try that, you know. Why? Because, well, we go back to our school days, don't we? Getting told off. Oh, no, that's not right. And so we don't give things a try often because we might not get it right or it might not be perfect. So there's a thought for journaling. What would I try if I wasn't worried about getting it wrong? And another one I jotted down. What's something small I noticed today that I might have overlooked before? And I think with my filming, that's what I am always looking, and it's lovely. And I know that some of you are starting to do that. When you're out and about now, you're starting to notice things. And for some of you, that's new. You're becoming curious. And that's a good thing. So what's the decision I've made? Well, I'm curious to see what a double wedding ring quilt will look like when I've made it EPP. Now, for those of you who aren't crafters, do you even know what EPP is? I mean, you might have tuned in just for a half-hour relaxing chat. But anyway, I'm going to tell you. So I've got 2 bits of fabric here. 1, 2. And when you make something, patchwork, let's put it like that, you sew those 2 pieces together along there, you make a seam, and it's like that. You can do that on the machine, or you can do that by hand. You've still got all your raw edges, and when you make a quilt, you then bind those raw edges round with some binding. EPP is completely different, and this is why I'm curious to see how it's going to work out. So what do I do different? Well, first of all, you have to get the right papers. This isn't the right paper, it's just a square. I've sent off for the right papers, and I'm going to tell you all about that when they come. But for EPP, and I'll show you how I'm going to be doing this, so you can follow me if you want to. You fold over, you tack it down, fold over, tack it down, do the same round each edge, and there you have it. You have no raw edges. That's all neatly enclosed. Make another one, and then you sew those 2 edges together. Whip stitch over and over. So of course, when my double wedding ring quilt is going to be finished, and my friend said to me, are you going to put binding round it? Because a double wedding ring is curved like that. I'll put a photo up here of the ones I've made, not this method, but by, you know, the method I showed you with the 2 pieces of fabric and then you bind round. You'll see, well, I'm not going to have any raw edges. It's going to be finished like that. So what some people do is they get their quilt that they've made, even if it's like this, and then they sew it. It's called a plique. That means putting another thing on top of another thing, and they sew it onto a piece of fabric that has a straight edge, and then you can bind that. You can put your binding over that, but you'll get the shape onto an oblong piece of fabric. Are you following me? So that's what some people do. They applique it. I'm just going to get something to show you what I've done with other pieces of work. This is applique. That's the design. Hexes, little star, little fill-in triangles, and then I put them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Filled in the sides with that. Quilted it. Put a backing on. And then what did I do for the edge? I can feel what I've done. I've made the edge just over the binding, the wadding. So I've cut the wadding a little bit prouder so that I could just bind the wadding up to, can you see that? Up to that neat edge. I'm going to be showing you this as I do my EPP. But I just wanted to show you the difference between an English paper piecing or patchwork, which is sewing 2 pieces together, making a seam and opening it up. It is completely different. So I'm looking forward, and I will be filming it and taking you along as I do it. Now it's either, you know, it's curiosity, isn't it? Is it going to work out? Am I going to say halfway through, I'm not doing that anymore, I'm not enjoying it? Or am I going to say to you, I can't wait. it is keeping me going. The curiosity of seeing each piece finished is pushing me along. I'm enjoying it. I don't know. Let's wait and see. But what I did today was put my fabric that I'm going to be using, the William Morris and some Liberty offcuts that I've had for a long time. I put those in a basket and ironed them. This is my pile of bigger pieces. That's a Liberty print. As I said, I'm mixing the Liberty with the William Morris. And this is my pile that I'm gradually building up from my basket of pieces that I'm going to use. So watch this space, I'll let you know. That's my news about my quilt. So I love you and leave you, and I'll see you tomorrow, Thursday. It's afternoon tea time. I thought I'd come on and have a little chat with you. I wanted to talk to you about my next piece of knitting. I just want to do easy knitting, as I think I've said before. It's just how my brain is at the minute. I don't want to do anything complicated that I've got to think about. And I wanted to talk about Curious Handmade, Helen Stewart. I want to talk about why I love this and why I think her patterns are so good, especially when the brain doesn't want anything taxing. It's summer here. I just want something calming. And her patterns are exactly that. What makes them calming and exactly that is the way she writes them and the way they're constructed. I have knitted, I can't tell you how many, because I've knitted so many presents. I've only got one myself. I've given the rest away. But this is the Silver River. And the Sunset Skies, I can't tell you how many I've knitted of those, because everybody's got one. I've knitted them. I have got two. I've got one here. Oh, here's the other one. This one's oddments. Well, you see, they lend themselves to the oddments, don't they? The same as, oh, I've got to go and get that one. So here we go. Here's that one was the Silver River. This is the Sunset Skies. Again, similar construction, but it's different. It's got those holes that go right across. And then I made recently, you know, whilst we were all poorly, every day I did a different colour. Do you remember me showing you this? This is the Dust of Snow, and this is just in the offcuts off, you know, the little balls of wool I've had. And then I've knitted that in with floof, which makes it a lot thicker. Dust of Snow again. And then I've knitted the Habitation Throw. You start in the corner there and you just carry on knitting for as big as you want. And I did that. My mum loved this. She wore it every day. I've also done that. It's downstairs. I'll get it in a minute. I've also done that without the floof in as well. So that's just the wool. And now I want to start something different, and I want to show you why I love it. Because when she writes her pattern, she writes every single row. And when you're a new knitter, or when you just want to be told what to knit, most patterns say repeat or do this or do that, and you think, oh, where was I? You know, if your brain's like that. But not with Helen Stewart. She will tell you every single row. In fact, these rows are all the same, and she's told you on the other page, which I can't show you because of copyright, but you see she tells you how much of the shawl you've knitted: 5%, 10%, 15%. Every row she tells you what to do, and so every single row of that pattern is printed out for you. Not only that, she gives you a chart if you're a chart person as well. And that's all I can say. You can't wish for anything more comprehensive. So you don't have to think, oh, where am I? What am I doing? All the, tells you all the different stitches, what to do. And she says, pay special attention to the border stitches throughout the shawl, because it's impossible to fix after you've passed the row if you make a mistake. And after a few rows, place a pin or stitch marker on the right side so you can see at a glance which side is which. And as an experienced knitter, I can sometimes think I don't need that, but take it from me, if Helen Stewart says do it, do it, and then you know where you are. So I've started, let me tell you what it is, and I'll show you as I go along. The Blossom Time Shawl. So you can see it starts off with just plain garter stitch around here. Every row is knit. Then there's a part that's a pattern and a little small pattern. I don't know if I'm going to change colour or if I'm going to keep it all the same. I just don't know at the moment. I'll show you what I've done. I'm using Craft House Magic. This is, I paused, so while I paused, this is the Habitation Throw. It's rather large. That's all beautiful wool. I bought that from Anne of Spar Knits. It's non-superwash, beautiful colours, can you see? Oh, I love it. So that's the Habitation Throw. There it is in just the wool. And there it is with the floof. Adding that floof does make a difference, doesn't it? Anyway, I was getting the ball band for the wool, and it is Craft House Magic. I bought this many a year ago. Honestly, I think about 3 or 4 years ago. English Country Garden, she still does the same colour. 400 metres in 100 grams of 4-ply, 70% baby alpaca, 20% silk and 10% cashmere. How luxurious is that? And here it is. It's got little what's it called? English Country Garden, yeah. And it's got like little flecks of pink. Can you see that? Just there. It's very subtle. I just love it. And here it is knitted up. If you just can see that. What's the right side? You see, I put on my marker, that's the right side. And you've got these little oh, it's lovely. Take it from me, it's lovely. And so I've done you increase at each end. And I've done that garter stitch, each row knit. I think I've got a couple more rows to do, and then I get on to that pattern. Am I going to change colour? Because I did buy another couple of balls of the same wool, but a different colour. So shall I change it? Shall I keep it the same? I don't know. I'm just going to go with how I feel at the time. So there we are. That's what I'm knitting, and I wanted to talk to you about Helen Stewart's patterns. If you haven't ever ventured because you thought, oh, I can't do that. But yeah, you certainly can, because everything is written out for you, every single row, and you'll know where you are. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Morning. I'm up early this morning because we've got a bit of a treat today. My daughter and my granddaughter and my 2 great-grandchildren, Mila and George, 5.5 and 2.5 now, are coming for the day, and we're rather excited. It'll make a change. Well, more than a change, it'll be super. So I thought I'd just come on, say hello, and read you the next little part of my story. And then if there's any photos been taken or any tales to tell, I can tell you that next time. So here we are. I left you, well, just deciding that we were going to be married, and it was February. And the next entry I've got is April the 17th, 1967. On April the 17th, I wrote in my diary, Peter got nabbed. He'd been caught fiddling the tube fares. It didn't teach me a lesson, though, because I followed suit on July the 18th. Travelling on the Underground without paying wasn't difficult back then. There were no barriers to pass through and no one to check your tickets until the very end of the journey. When I got off, I'd simply tell the ticket collector that I was running late and hadn't had time to buy a ticket. He'd ask where I'd started my journey, and I'd name a station 1 or 2 stops away and then pay that small fare. It was a simple trick, and it meant we could put a little aside for our forthcoming wedding and, well, life together. That was what we were doing, saving hard. Peter, being in the army, couldn't be taken to court for something so trivial. After all, it would have been the Queen versus the Queen. He was fined 5 times his fare, about £1.10, and sternly told not to do it again. I, on the other hand, wasn't so lucky. I had to go to court. I remember standing in the dock, so short I could hardly see over the top of the bench, you know. The judge asked if I had anything to say for myself. All I could manage was a small sorry, which made Peter laugh out loud. I was fined £3 and ordered to pay £2 in costs. Well, that was a lot more than Peter, wasn't it? And tons more than my fare. But it didn't faze me. I don't recall being frightened. After all, I'd worked in a solicitor's office, been to court before. I suppose youthful exuberance carried me through. What did annoy me, though, was knowing I'd now have to pay my fares properly, and that would put a dent in our savings. It's not a good way of thinking, I know, and of course I have changed, but that was my focus at the time. Save every penny, no matter what. Anxious to bring him home. Things coasted along for a while, but I was becoming increasingly anxious to buy Peter out of the army. I wanted us to start building our own life together, but he enjoyed the life. I think he wrestled with the idea of leaving. He was doing the work of a sergeant, yet for some reason they weren't promoting him, and this made him angry. Though he didn't tell me at the time, to me he just seemed moody, and it got on my nerves a little. I always liked life to run smoothly, for everyone to be happy, and his silences unsettled me. Then on the 5th of June, war broke out between Israel and Egypt. The news filled me with dread. What if Peter was sent? The thought of him being involved didn't bear thinking about, and it weighed heavily on me. I spoke to Mum and Dad, my worry spilling over. They listened and then, with their usual kindness, said, "If this is what you both really want, we'll make up the difference." We were £50 short of the Army's asking price of £200, a lot of money for us then, and their offer felt like a lifeline. It couldn't come quickly enough for me. Yes, so we'd saved up quite a lot, hadn't we? If we were £150, which was a lot of money then. So yes, we'll see. As usual, Mum and Dad helping out. I'll tell you next time what happened. So I'm going to move on now and get things ready for the visitors, and I'll see you. I don't know if I'll see you next week. I always say this. Will it be next week? Will it be the week after? Whenever it is that I feel I can do it at the moment, and so watch out for me. The little film now is of our bank holiday Monday. 30 degrees down on the English beaches. So I'll see you when I see you. Take care. Look after yourselves. Bye-bye.